when we resolve a situation for ourselves, no doubt remaining, we have resolved it for our tangible world. And we have then only to sit back and await confirmation. And that confirmation comes as a tangible view of the world coming to perceive same truth. How is this so? Well, because our world is within awareness. It's not outside, separate, independent, capable of acting on its own. The world and all that's in it, the universe, including the Pleiades, all lie within awareness. This awareness that listens to these words. And authority lies here as the ineffable, which is being this awareness. The authority lies here to resolve the so-called sins of the world. Well, this may sound like a revolutionary thing I'm saying, but it isn't. Even metaphysical students, old-time practitioners, have taught that each must work out his own salvation for himself. And while this is true to an extent, it is only true to the extent that it is true for this one that is here as I, that is, to this very awareness that is you. It is not necessary for every person in the world to work out his own salvation. Humanity is, after all, our own appearing. It's my own appearing, and when I get that straight for myself, my view of my own appearing is changed in the direction of understanding. By analogy, if I am dreaming that there is a terrible distort going on in my dream that has everyone frightened, it is only necessary for one person in the dream to get things straight. The me-sense, who is the dream participating ego, and the one to whom the whole dream belongs. That's the one who gets things straight. I have done with the dreamer, and the dream vanishes. Then, the dreamer gone, what was being dreamt about is seen through the eyes of non-dream. We see more clearly. All right, about supply. Every problem that humanity faces is a supply problem. The term supply is a word that is used over and over by metaphysicians and by philosophers, but it would be a much more understood word if we simply said need, the need that appears necessary, the needs of humanity. But in any event, using that term supply, every problem is a matter of supply. Not enough money, not enough job, not enough health, not enough companionship, or too much money, too much loneliness, too many pounds, too many demands, too many obligations, too many worries. In one way or another, every problem mankind faces or has ever faced comes down to the question of needs, of supply. Not enough or too much. Not enough or too much. Well, humanity understands that word need. He's always speaking of his needs and necessities. Necessities being needs that he can't do without. Jesus pointed out one of the secrets of supply in his admonition to take no thought what ye shall eat, to take no thought. He also said, it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. He said, whatsoever things you need, Your Father knoweth of them even before you ask. He said, take no thought. Then he asked the question, who by taking thought can add 1 inch to his stature? Well, the question arises, how does one go about taking no thought? How does one go about taking no thought? How is it possible to remain free of thought-taking concerning pressing obligations, especially when it would seem that a lack of thought might be all it takes to overlook something or to fail to do something that is necessary, maybe to run a business or to make the proper investment here with inflation rampant, or with well, how does one go about taking no thought? I have a letter here somewhere, and that's what I'm looking for. It says, isn't it difficult to remain free of thought at a time like this? And the time like this that was described in the letter was an awful mess, with the prime interest rates so very high and the inability to buy a home and to find the money for it and so forth. The ability to take no thought lies, and listen please, listen gently. The ability to take no thought lies in one place only, in the acknowledgement of one's identity. Well, how so? How so? Well, listen again. Just as quickly as one acknowledges the fact of identity, that identity is awareness itself, awareness, life itself, and awareness only, then, and not until then, he finds it possible to stop the thinking, the planning, and the calculating done by the one who professes to own awareness. Awareness itself, awareness, life itself, is the identity of you and me. Well, so what? How does this allow us to go about not taking thought? Well, listen now, listen. Awareness is the action of mind. And this awareness, it listens to these words, is the action of the only mind there is. The divine mind, God mind. Remember now, we've identified as awareness the functioning, the action of mind, of God mind. Now mind and its awareness are one mind. Yet mind is more than awareness. Jesus said, when you see me, you've seen the Father, but the Father is greater than I. When you acknowledge awareness to be identity, you have acknowledged God, mind, for whom awareness is the activity, yet mind is greater than its activity. So, having acknowledged awareness to be identity, we can let mind be all there is to this identity we are. The alone one mind is already being perfectly. It is already functioning perfectly. Awareness that's listening, this awareness right here, is this functioning happening? Why, the awareness listening to this, is this perfect function going on? Therefore, there is no need for a pseudo-identity, an awareness that belongs to Bill or to Mary or to George or to somebody else, to enter the act and attempt and try like the devil to direct the divine consciousness, which is God. By the way, where would such an ego come from? Where would such a possessor come from, really? Why, it isn't possible. It doesn't exist. Really, it is an hypothetical devil that doesn't exist. So, why should we attempt to be this dream identity that wants mind to fill awareness with precisely what we, this fictitious identity, wants it to be filled with? Why should we try to be a second God to oneself, only to suffer the trials and the tribulations of judging the world? If I like this and I don't like that, I want this and I don't want that. Perfection, a perfect mind, the divine mind, is already the fact. Therefore, there isn't a thing on the face of the earth that I, awareness I, must do about it, or understand about it, or practice, or demonstrate in order to make God more perfect, or even more perfectly understood. Because, you see, God understands God. Mind understands mind, and this awareness is that understanding going on. The belief that I, as an individual, must read this or that I, as a possessor of awareness, must practice this or that to understand more about God, is unadulterated hogwash. Those activities merely make the possessor of awareness, the pseudo-possessor of awareness, think he is more capable of understanding truth. Well, for myself, to the best of my ability, I am no longer playing the part of the possessor. I am not still acting the slave master of awareness. I am not making demands on mind. I am mind's activity itself. I am awareness itself. I, as awareness, am God's possession, God's activity for which God is responsible, and here I rest, and right here I make my stand.